Yo, what's going on, guys? Proverbs here, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to boost your Minecraft FPS using the Cheatbreaker mod. And this is not just going to be any video that's like, oh yeah, you can boost your FPS by doing this, and it doesn't actually help you boost your FPS. These are legitimate settings that'll help you guys actually gain an FPS boost. And I'm going to be showing you a bunch of things, including my Cheatbreaker settings that should help you guys get better FPS when you guys are playing. So you're going to download Cheatbreaker, which is the first step, from the link in the description. And after you download Cheatbreaker and install it and agree to the terms of service, and then click the right shift on your keyboard, and this should open up the Cheatbreaker GUI. And you're going to click this gear wheel, and now you guys should see this little tab with all these settings, and you're just going to go to Cheatbreaker settings. And there's three things we're going to be focusing on: FPS boost, general settings, and render settings. These are the most important to gain an FPS boost. So these are the settings you guys are going to put on. You guys can either just pause it or and just copy these settings, but I'm going to be explaining why these settings matter. So you obviously want enable FPS boost because this is going to help you get that FPS boost with Cheatbreaker. A lot of people say leave chunk loading at the default, which is like 30, but my recommendation is to turn chunk loading all the way down, because I notice that when I have chunk loading high, it hurts my FPS. When I have chunk loading very low, I get better FPS. So you want to make sure you have slow chunk loading all the way down. These two things, if you have a bad PC, Fulbright and enchantment glint, you don't need these things on. Fulbright you might need on just to see if you're playing HCF or whatever, but other than that, you really don't need these two things on. If you can turn them off and you have a bad PC, I would recommend turning them off. Now go down to general settings and GUI blur. You want to make sure this is off, because GUI blur hurts your FPS, and I think it causes a lot more lag spikes when you have it on, so you need to make sure this is turned off. Now down to render settings, this is the last thing. You want to make sure all these are off, because none of these are really necessary. Transparent background, red strings, shiny pots, show HUD while in debug view, and show chat background. All these cause a little bit of lag, so if you turn all these off, it makes a big difference and it helps your FPS. But the only thing you really need is show potion info and inventory, so I would keep this setting on because it's pretty important. So make sure this is on and the rest of these are off. Now the next thing I'm going to be doing is showcasing my Cheatbreaker settings, what I use on practice. There's 4 mods that I use: keystrokes, scoreboard, CPS, and FPS. So what you want to do is you guys can just copy these settings, but as you guys can see, when I click a key, it's chroma, so you guys can do that and just follow that. And yeah, you guys can just copy the rest of these settings. That's it. Now I'm going to show you what you guys can do on the desktop to help improve your FPS. Alright guys, now that we're on our desktop, basically what you want to do is you want to start up your Cheatbreaker mod by running as admin, as you normally would. And once Cheatbreaker pops up here, you guys are going to see this HUD. What you want to do is you want to just allocate between 4096 megabytes of RAM and 5632 megabytes of RAM if you have 8 gigs. This is for 8 gigs. Now if you have 16 or 32 or 64, whatever the case may be, of RAM, you guys can allocate halfway and you guys should be all good to go. And so yeah, as soon as you start up your Cheatbreaker, I'm gonna allocate 4096 because that's a good amount for PC instability. So you want to be between that window, 4096 and 5632 megabytes, and you guys should be good to go. Now once Cheatbreaker starts up, as you guys can see, I'm going to start my task manager, and as you can see, Cheatbreaker is using 21 to 25% of my CPU. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the details. I'm actually just going to close Cheatbreaker out real quick. I'm going to go to the details of Cheatbreaker, and I'm going to set the priority on high. And what that is going to do is basically allocate more CPU, and that's going to help you get better FPS on Cheatbreaker. Now the last thing you guys can do is you can go to your Nvidia control panel, and this is a new tip a lot of people don't talk about, but this is especially for laptops. If you guys have a dedicated GTX graphics card, what you want to do is you want to come down to set physics configuration on 3D settings, and auto select is going to be using your Intel RHD graphics 630, so your crappier graphics card. What you want to do is you want to come down here and you want to use your dedicated GPU. This is going to allow for better processing, higher performance in games, and this is the GPU you need to be using, or this is the physics processor you need to have your setting on. So make sure it's on GeForce GTX, whatever number you have, 1070, 1050, 1080. Make sure it's on that. And once you do all these things, you guys should be good to go on Cheatbreaker, and you guys should get a great FPS boost, to be honest. And if you guys did enjoy, you guys want to see some HCF Let's Plays, montages, more mod releases, mod showcases, and PvP montages, make sure you guys drop a thumbs up, subscribe, and we will see you guys next time. Peace out, everyone.